Hi, Professor Rold. This is our group for our COMM 350 project, and we're going to be discussing the spiral of silence theory. I'm Jordan Isial.
I'm Bo Weiss.
I'm Madison Wofford.
I'm Bryce Jackson.
I'm Elizabeth Meyer.
I'm Anna Scott.
Okay, so first we're going to talk a little bit about what the spiral of silence theory is. So, the spiral of silence theory was coined by German political scientist Elizabeth Noel Neumann. It explains that, generally speaking, people who feel that they hold the minority opinion of a controversial morals-based issue will be less likely to speak out about that issue for fear of social isolation. She claims that, to the individual, not isolating himself is more important than his or her own judgment. People are more willing to speak out if they think their opinion is the majority one, or will be relatively soon. So, going into our topic, what we decided to research was how the spiral of silence theory translates into Facebook. So, a brief history on Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg was a 19-year-old that created Facebook in 2004. It was originally just open for students at Harvard University. It was made for students to create a personal page that students could talk to each other on. The only requirements were that you had to have an email address ending in @harvard.edu, and you had to be more than 18 years old. Organizations and businesses couldn't create a profile yet.
In 2006, Facebook opened up to the world outside of education. During this time, Facebook stopped being a purely education-based network and opened up to employees of certain businesses, such as Apple and Microsoft. Within the same year, Facebook opened up to anyone above the age of 13. In 2008, Facebook became available in languages other than English. There became 17 Facebook languages and 100 million users on Facebook. Then by 2009, Facebook was also available in over 70 different languages. Mark Zuckerberg was elected Person of the Year in December 2010. The reason for giving Zuckerberg this is because we entered the Facebook age and Mark Zuckerberg is the man who brought us here. In 2012, the 1 billion mark of users came. Facebook was used by 1/7 of the world's population and by just under 50% of everyone with an internet connection. Researchers have recognized that Facebook is a great tool to observe behavior in a naturalistic setting, test hypotheses, and recruit participants. Now with over 80 million active users, Facebook is changing the way hundreds of millions of people relate to one another.
So we wanted to see how likely a Texas A&M student is to get involved with a controversial Facebook post. So we created a survey that we sent out to our friends, family members, and group meets that we were in to get survey results. So to start out, we decided to ask 14 questions, and those were: 1, do you have a Facebook? 2, out of the people you know, how many of them have a Facebook? 3, how often do you use Facebook? Very often, often, occasionally, rarely, or never. 4, how often do you see controversial posts on Facebook? 5, when you see a controversial post on Facebook, what is your initial response? Such as instantly respond, think about it for a little, look and see what others have posted on it, scroll past it, or other. 6, how do you feel about people expressing their personal opinion about a controversial topic on a platform like Facebook, such as pleased, annoyed, don't care, interested in different opinions, or other? 7, what certain controversial topics influence your likelihood to respond, such as politics or religion? 8, how likely are you to respond to a controversial post with your own views and opinion on a given topic on a scale from 1, not likely at all, to 5, very likely? 9, have you ever made a controversial post or comment on Facebook, yes or no? 10, how likely are you to make a controversial post or comment on a controversial post on Facebook? 1, being not likely at all, 5, being very likely. If you see a controversial post on Facebook that you disagree with, how likely are you to respond? 1, being not likely at all, 5, being very likely. 12, if you see a controversial post on Facebook that you agree with, how likely are you to respond to this? 13, if you see a controversial post on Facebook that you agree with, but the general population disagrees with, how likely are you to respond to this? 1, being not likely at all, 5, being very likely. And lastly, if you see a controversial post on Facebook that you agree with and the general population agrees with you, how likely are you to respond?
So after looking at the results of our surveys and questions, we see that the spiral of silence theory is accurate in regards to the responses. With 100 responses to our survey, over 60% of them claim that they see controversial posts on Facebook each week. 50% of those individuals say that after reading a controversial post, they go to the responses to see what other people are saying about the post. After asking the question of if they would respond to a controversial post with their own opinions, only 7 of the 100 said that they are likely to respond. However, only 4 of the 100 people surveyed said that they would respond to a controversial post that they disagree with. This supports the spiral of silence theory in the sense that it shows that regardless of how individuals feel about a topic, it is unlikely for them to express their own opinion about it in order to avoid isolation from differing opinions. When it came to the question of if they would respond to a controversial post that they agreed with, the results showed that 23 people would in fact respond. This showed us that 6 times the amount of people in our results would express their opinion about a topic that they agreed with than express their opinion about a topic they disagreed with. In addition, we also asked the question of if the general population agreed with a topic on a post, would they respond? We saw that the results showed twice the amount of people saying they would respond to a post the general population agreed with than the amount of people saying that they would respond to a post in which the general population disagrees with. This showed us that out of everyone that would respond to a controversial topic, the majority of them would only respond because their opinion is part of the majority in order to avoid social isolation.
What we would have done different if we had more than one semester to complete our research. As a group, if we had more time, we would have researched all social media platforms instead of just Facebook. This way, we would accumulate a wider selection of responses. Utilizing Facebook to disperse our survey prompted a skewed response. This was because it was focused on controversial topics on Facebook. If we were to use all social media platforms, we would have a better understanding of the public's view. Another thing we would have done different in a full semester is we would have used a focus group. A focus group would have given us an in-depth look at how people view controversial topics. This would allow us to be able to see what topics cause the biggest issue amongst people. We could also expand on the spiral of silence theory in a focus group. By using a focus group, we could see what reasons the people did or did not respond to a controversial topic. Lastly, we would have created more detailed questions to better gauge the audience and why they do what they do.
To reiterate and sum everything up, we chose to do our research topic on the spiral of silence theory by Noel Neumann, a German political scientist. The spiral of silence thesis, generally speaking, is the idea that people who feel they hold a minority opinion of a controversial, morals-based issue will be less willing to speak out about that issue for fear of isolation. In other words, people are more willing to speak out if they think their opinion is in the majority. To the individual, not isolating himself is more important than his own judgment. Facebook is the artifact that we wanted to research to find out if the data we collected matched the theory of the spiral of silence. Facebook was created as a small communication tool, but is now used by over 800 million active users. Facebook has been known to have controversial topics discussed and argued daily. We wanted to ask people about their experience with controversial posts on Facebook and how they interact with them. We created a survey through Google Forms that asked people a series of 14 questions. The questions were intended to determine if Facebook users fall into the spiral of silence, as Noel Neumann would predict. After receiving 100 responses, we found the spiral of silence theory is accurate in regards to the responses we received. Very few people said they would respond to a controversial post if they disagreed with it or if the population disagreed with it. This supports the spiral of silence theory.
Thanks for watching!